Hey guys, I'm back for another video and welcome to ThirtyVirus Rants. And today we're going to be talking about the myth, the legend, the fabled update itself for Hypixel SkyBlock, and that is dungeons. Unfortunately, things did not go as people expected. The update was disappointing for most. Today I'm going to try and make the point that the dungeons update was destined to fail, doomed from the start. So let's get into it. Dungeons as a concept was first brought up last year, just after the release of the End update. That's what I thought, you jerk. Die. When the End update was unveiled, so was Dungeons. And they talked about it as if a source of infinite content, the next big project for the network. Uh-oh. Oh, he quit the game. Yeah, so there's the first problem with Dungeons. It was revealed almost a year ago. I think it's been like 10 months or something. I don't know, but whatever. 10 months of speculation and, you know, hype leads to nothing being able to hold up to that level of anticipation from an audience. So there's the first problem. Hypixel talked about it too early. They should have kept their mouth shut the whole time. They shouldn't have said anything, but they did, because people were hyped. They were like, wow, this game is so fun and new and interesting. And then being told that there's an update coming soon that provides infinite content, that makes them freak out even more and want to grind even more. But the problem is, again, there is no meeting up to those expectations. So by default, you've already doomed the update to be looked at as disappointing. It's not going to meet up with those expectations. Why? Again, people are speculative. They like to guess on what's happening next. There were so many videos on YouTube talking about how to prep for dungeons, how to prepare for dungeons, and nope. I guess moving on from that point, right? A game is going to be seen as disappointing no matter what if you hype it too early. And that's exactly what happened with Dungeons. Now, some other examples of that happening is No Man's Sky. For months, the game was seen as the perfect game. Now, that's a quote that I'm going to repeat over and over in this video because I think it's making a good point. Is that something is seen as the perfect game if people leave it for too long. That's a phrase that I think should be a red flag for any developer. If their audience says that it's going to be the perfect game, that's when you know it's being overhyped and that you're going to disappoint your audience. Now, I think the way to prevent that is to handle future updates similarly to the way they handled pets. They talked about it for maximum a few weeks before it dropped. Right, I heard about Pets update. I was a little speculative because I'm not a big fan of cosmetics in video games, and I thought it was going to be cosmetic. Little did I know, what pet you have, you know, changes your stats, whatever. It's pretty neat. It was actually a really nice update, and I was pretty happy with it, satisfied overall. I thought it was a great update. Same goes with the park. They dropped that one by surprise, by complete surprise. No one knew it was coming, but they all thought it was a welcome addition to the game. Now, the difference is you get something like Dungeons that's been talked about forever and ever and ever. It's never going to meet up with the hype. They see it as, quote, the perfect game before its release. I think a good game update, or even a good product in general, maybe not even product, but just a life lesson should be to underhype, overperform, something like that. Oh my god, this guy on blue team. Go away. So this is a concept that honestly scares me with Hytale as well. So, you know, I personally have seen Hypixel as, quote, the perfect game for over a year now. It's been a year and a half since the game was revealed, and I'm starting to get scared now. I'm thinking it's going to be the perfect game because it's been revealed too early. Expectations are extremely high, and I don't think the devs are going to be able to meet those expectations, just like with Dungeons. So if I had any advice for Hypixel, it would be to lay low with updates. You know? Nice. Don't raise people's expectations. Just surpass those expectations. So moving on. The Alpha Network. So the Alpha Network compounded the effect of dungeons being overhyped. It made it even worse. Now here's why. So people were, you know, their expectations were astronomically high for dungeons. They finally get to see it in the form of a pre-release alpha version that isn't done yet. And that is the worst way to do this. They're putting their worst foot forward. So the problem with the alpha network is not only were people going to be disappointed because the game was, you know, unveiled too early and they had high expectations, but on top of that, the game was broken and not ready for release at all. Oh, please. No. It didn't work. Oh, what? Oh, that's bad. Yes! That's what I thought, dude. So anyway, after that extremely long standoff, I think the alpha network is a bad idea overall. Looked good on paper, but nah. Nah. The problem with it is that people see what they've been expecting for so long and they get disappointed again because of the hype. Now, if an update was talked about for 2 weeks and was put on alpha network, maybe it wouldn't go as badly, but even then, people aren't going to want to spoil themselves. People can't relate to the content, at least on YouTube. That update is going to be dead because people don't want to watch it. They just don't. Out of the past like 60 videos I've uploaded, all the past 5 worst performing are all alpha content. Oh, don't do that. Yeah, YouTubers are known for spoiling things for themselves and other players, me included. You know, I'm not immune to it. They're desperate for content. They're gonna milk that update dry before it even comes out, and then people are gonna be sick of it before it's even released. So if you want my advice, leave the alpha network to be either no content allowed or have it be HPC only. It's one thing for YouTubers to play the update and just not be able to record or you know, hype it, but right now the current system is really, I would say, painful. It's not painful, it's really damaging to Hypixel SkyBlock as a game mode. What an idiot. What an idiot. Oh my god. And down with your bed and get comboed. Yes. All right, so now we're gonna look at dungeons objectively as a game mode. I think all those other practices could have been avoided, you know, and still resulted in the same dungeons update. But here's the problem with the dungeons update. It was over-engineered, right? No one's gonna argue that. And it doesn't provide much content from a YouTuber perspective. Now, I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the YouTuber perspective, and the reason for that is, as with Minecraft itself, Hypixel SkyBlock is a game that is reliant on having thousands of people watching on YouTube, watching streams, and it, you know, keeps this cycle going of hype for this game. It introduces new players to the game. It promotes buying ranks. It, you know, there's a lot of good things that come from YouTubers in this community, but the problem is dungeons it's not good for videos. It just isn't. And I think the reason for that is, although it's quote infinite content, it's not fun content. Well, I mean, it is at the start, but you're just doing the same thing over again. It's as if you're told to play through the entire Pokemon series all over again, but all the towns are just jumbled up in the order they appear in the game. You know, it's just not. It's the same stuff just jumbled around, which again, I think it's great because it allows you to replay it at least a little bit, and it's fine to play. It's a fun game to play, but watching it, I don't know. it leaves a lot to be desired. So that's why I think it's over engineered, you know, and it just, because it took so much work to make it randomly generate dungeons the way it does. And sure, it's neat, but I think we can all agree that we got way more fun out of something like the end update than we did the dungeons update. It added one island. It was the same island every time, but it was different. It added new grinds that were somewhat interesting. Dragon fights are like the staple of the game now. In a no content environment, people default to dragons, and there's a reason for that. It can be the same grind every time, it just has to be fun. So I think at this point what dungeons really feels like to me is a more interesting Slayer. So it's a better Slayer, but it's still compared to a Slayer, you know, it's on the same scale. Oh, yikes, dude. Back off. The good old break and escape. Oh, is he just gonna... Oh, okay, bye. So, I guess the point I'm trying to get at with this whole video is that the update itself was pretty good, you know? It was a good update in terms of, you know, something that, if had it been a surprise, it would have been a pleasant one. People would be like, wow, there's like a new thing that we can repeatedly kill, but it'd still be fun and interesting. But like, I think honestly what ruined dungeons was the overhyping of it, the long timetable, and it doesn't even matter how good the update is when you treat a game or update like that. Nothing will be able to keep up with that level of hype. So I guess at the end here I'm going to stick a few things for SkyBlock in general that I think are also concerning along the lines of this. I think in the future updates should just be by surprise. I don't think that these things should be hinted at for long periods of time, you know. I haven't read the whole dungeons forum post yet, but I somewhat hope that they just didn't mention the next update in that forum post and they kept it vague, because I know for a fact people have been talking about the Abyss update is the thing after dungeons. But like, honestly, the best thing for SkyBlock right now is just a new island with a bunch of new bosses, a bunch of new grinds, maybe some new talismans, maybe some new quests. Something like the Park Island, but better. Well, it doesn't even have to be better. Something just as good as the Park Island. That was a great update. It was out of nowhere. People didn't expect it, and they liked it. And it generally left people feeling like, wow, this was a nice update. And it provided so much content from the YouTube perspective as well. So it kept the game on alive. People were still interested in watching it online. And all was good. So anyway, moving back to what I said earlier about other things that I think could help the network. The server is currently suffering from like a lack of space. There's just not enough slots for the amount of players. And I've actually had conversations with Jay Varmint myself. And it's like, we've reached a point where the server is stunting its own growth by not, you know, being bigger. Now, I understand that, you know, I've seen the Twitter posts and stuff about how they just don't have enough. They just don't have enough servers. Like, they can't even buy enough servers if they wanted. But the thing is right now, nons are getting kicked and they're getting put in a queue. And there are people that, you know, I know for a fact if I had to wait 40 minutes every day to play SkyBlock, I would probably quit, because, you know, SkyBlock isn't really something to wait for. It's something to hop in and just like vibe for a little bit and then log off. So that's a big problem in my opinion. They need to have more slots. There can't be that big a queue. I don't know. Another problem that I foresee with SkyBlock is the fact that it's stuck in 1.8. I think SkyBlock as a game mode should update to later versions, like at least 1.12, but maybe 1.13. I'm not a big fan of whichever update made crouching terrible. I think that was 1.15, but I don't know. There's just not enough blocks in the game. Oh my god. You know, it'd be really cool if there was a far end island that had shulkers and purple blocks and, you know, levitation potions. I just think SkyBlock needs to focus less on how difficult the updates are to make or how complicated the updates are to make, and just put more islands. We just need more content. Now that Dungeons has been finally made and all those systems are in place, all those intricate, you know, systems, for example, being able to have unique enemies that are technically players, well, they're not players, but they look like players. I think now it's just time to start making content with it. They've basically turned Hypixel SkyBlock into a game engine, and now I want to see them make stuff in that engine. So they said that future updates should be way easier after Dungeons because of all these things they've made. But now it's time to do that. You know, we just need raw content. Now I think that there's the technical capabilities of such content. No. But anyway, one thing I want to specify before the video ends is that I feel like Dungeons was more valuable as a back-end systems update than it was a content update. And, you know, I'm not gonna sit and make fun of the devs for hours and hours saying that it was a bad update, because I feel like now, with all these things they've added, it will be really easy to make quality updates for this game. But they just need to freaking do it! Also, this green guy is, like, trying to assassinate me right now. No! Those are my thoughts on Dungeons, and that's how I think Hypixel should fix them, is just leave it as a surprise, and honestly, either shut down the alpha network or have a strict NDA policy, not allowed to upload anything on YouTube, and don't spend 9 months on an update. Well, anyways, I guess that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.